The timing seems about right. The Ant Queen is slowly appearing. If you want the potion to lift the curse, you must follow all of my commands. And when I make the potion, bring more prisoners to me. Seeing how arrogant she was, the prisoners began to question her. Why should we follow your command just because you are new here? How can we believe you based on just a few words from you? Facing the skepticism, the Ant Queen remained calm. The next second, countless tentacles suddenly sprouted from her back. Those tentacles rushed towards the group of prisoners at extremely high speed. And when she retracted her tentacles once again, the prisoners were astonished to find a mysterious brand on their arms. She said, "Don't panic, everyone. The brand will disappear once you successfully escape. But until then, you must obey me. Otherwise, you will have nowhere to be buried." On the other side, Aiden has also begun to take action. Under his instructions, a large number of prisoners adjusted their cells. A small number of prisoners were actually released early directly. The released prisoner was very puzzled. She said, "Did you make a mistake? My sentence should be up next month." The prison guard was very helpless. He said, "You were released early. You should be happy." Flanda always observed the movements of the prisoners in the corner, but she was relieved that everything was going smoothly. Meanwhile, on the square of the prison, the prisoners who were subdued by the Ant Queen. Now she is frantically rallying other prisoners. Just then, a voice interrupted them. "It's time to return to your cells." "Why should we go back? Didn't Aiden say we have 3 days of free activity?" Veronica calmly replied, "You can do as you please during the day, but at night, the guards need to rest. Do you want to cause trouble for me?" At these words, the prisoners instantly quieted down. On one hand, they feared the power of Werewolf. On the other hand, Ant Queen had instructed them not to conflict with the guards. After some thought, they obediently returned to the prison despite being in a disadvantageous position. But when they returned to the prison, they found that their cells had been taken over by someone else. Before they could get angry, the twin wardens arrived with a large number of prison guards. She said to beware of your unruly behavior towards other prisoners during the day. Mr. Aiden has decided to swap your cells. Your new room is in the cell at the very end. Roll in yourself." When this was said, Bird Woman was on the verge of launching another riot. But suddenly Snake Woman on the side thought of something. She said, "If we're all together, wouldn't that make communication easier? We can also develop new relationships with those around us." After a brief discussion, they immediately decided to head to the new prison cell. The Ant Queen on the side watched the entire process. She didn't understand why Aiden wanted to gather the prisoners together. Suddenly, she seemed to understand something. Before entering the prison, Anthony had already instructed her. Room 800 needs to be careful with the painted black markings. The highest level prisoners of Rose Prison are detained inside. And at this moment, it seems that the riot prisoners people have also realized, before they could start discussing. The sound of clawing appeared on this floor. And the one making the sound is the so-called high-level prisoner. Birdwoman broke down. She said, "Don't talk about it anymore. Don't even think about sleeping tonight." Ant Queen also understood Aiden's part of the plan. The purpose of changing cells is nothing but to harass the rioting prisoners. Just then, a voice came to her ears again. "If I could eat so well every day, I would be willing to stay in prison for the rest of my life." You're right. How many people outside are going hungry? They also face discrimination from ordinary people. I really don't understand why anyone would still want to escape from prison. After listening to the Ant Queen for a while, I gradually felt that something was wrong. Why do all the prisoners here have common topics of conversation? And all of this is Aiden's plan. Firstly, gather the prisoners of the loyal prisoner. Let them spread the word about the goodness of the prison without any restraint. In order to attract neutral prisoners inmates. Implementing a policy of disruption against riot prisoner. I can't persuade you anyway. So, I will use force to suppress force. And in the cell, at the middle of loyal prisoner. These are the prisoners meticulously selected by Aiden. They are the mercenary Captain Kinga, Muscle Batty, and her cunning strategist Aya. Late at night, Flanda and Werewolf found her. They came to ask Kinga for the list of land reclamation prisoners. Aiden would use a barrel of wine as a lure not long ago. Kinga agreed to help him find people to reclaim the wilderness for the prison. But what she didn't expect was that as soon as Flanda's voice fell, mocking voices echoed all around her. But just as Kinga was about to refuse Flanda, her strategist Aya stopped her. She said, "Alpha, have you noticed? It seems like the prisoners around us have been intentionally selected. These people either have very short sentences, or they entered prison looking for protection. Some even consider the prison as home. They never even thought of escaping. I roughly counted. Approximately 200 prisoners don't want to escape. So Mr. Aiden doesn't want us to be cannon fodder. Instead, he wants us to reclaim land and provide benefits as reasons. Let us take this opportunity to gather a huge force in order to fight against riot prisoner. And the reason why Lord Aiden chose you. This is probably because he knows that you used to be the leader of a mercenary group." Kinga looked disdainful at what she said. She said, "No matter how nicely you put it, aren't they still his lackeys? Don't forget how our mercenary group was destroyed. Being someone else's dog does not end well." Aya said, "But this time is different. Firstly, the warden is on our side. Secondly, those prisoners just want to escape. They won't fight to the death with us. Furthermore, even if we disagree, someone else will come and do it. By then, we will lose the initiative." Hearing this, Kinga sighed helplessly. Then she slowly spoke. "Does anyone want to drink? I have some good stuff distributed by the warden." As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding prisoners responded one after another. Especially Succubus seemed particularly excited. She said, "Kinga, you have to take me with you. A good sister must lend me a hand." The Ant Queen hiding in the corner now also understands Aiden's true intentions. However, she is not in the least bit flustered, because in her eyes, these people are just a motley crew. She thought to herself, as long as I can win over Cambry, escaping from prison will be a piece of cake. She was once a student of Cambry a long time ago. But she was expelled from the Witch Union by Cambry because she experimented on humans. The Ant Queen at that time was very confused. She said, "I'm just experimenting on beggars that no one cares about. No one will notice anyway." Cambry said, "How dare you still try to argue at this point? I'm warning you. If you don't leave now, when Master Gaia arrives, you won't have a chance to leave." During their conversation, a monster with a snake tail and 4 hands rushed over. The newcomer was indeed the Master Gaia mentioned by Cambry. She said, "Isabella, the original name of Ant Queen, you are seeking death." It was only at this moment that Ant Queen felt fear. She immediately began to flee in panic. But it was clear that Gaia was not going to let her off easily. She emitted a wave of energy from her mouth. That wave of energy instantly sent Ant Queen flying. Under the gaze of Witch Cambry, she flew towards the distance. The place where she was about to fall happened to be the forbidden area known as the Land of the Fallen God. However, Ant Queen was very lucky. Not only did she survive, also used God's spell to create Kim. Now her strength is no weaker than the Mentor Cambry from Huijing. But what she doesn't know is that there is a little white mouse behind her, quietly watching her. And at this moment, Aiden is not idle either. "Congratulations, Sophia. You can now be released from prison." Sophia looked suspicious. She said, "When did you become so kind?" "You don't need to worry about this." Of course, Sophia wants to be released from prison, but she also knows that she will have to pay some price for it. Sure enough, when she changed into her clothes to be released from prison, Aiden stopped her. He said, "Don't rush to leave. Let's talk about a deal related to your bounty hunter business." Prison cafeteria on the other side. All the prisoners on the other side are discussing Kinga's matter. They are all eager to start working for the prison. And Ant Queen has also found her old acquaintance here. That is the mentor she passed by, which Cambry, who recognized the student she had personally driven away with just one glance. The Ant Queen spoke first, saying, "Teacher, I can help you escape." Upon hearing this, Cambry laughed and said, "You are thinking too much. When did I ever say I wanted to escape? I'm fine in prison." Ant Queen said, "Teacher, after so many years, I know you very well. I know you still don't trust me. To show my sincerity, I'll start by showing you my chips first. These are the spells I learned at the land of the fallen god. I call it the prosperity spell. Let's use this egg for demonstration. Just have her touch the prosperity spell. It can quickly transform into a handsome rooster. The same principle. We can use it to catalyze the magic-suppressing collar in the prison. Let it age quickly and become damaged in a short amount of time. Of course, I also know that you and Aiden signed a contract. Once you betray Aiden, the curse will be triggered, resulting in your violent death. But the prosperity spell can still solve this issue, when the dosage used by the handsome rooster exceeds a critical value. Then the handsome rooster will undergo a split and become two handsome roosters. And the two are completely unrelated. This means that the split entity can help you bear the curse brought by the contract." After listening, Cambry laughed. She said, "For the sake of our master-disciple relationship, you can leave now, and I will pretend that nothing happened." Upon hearing this, Ant Queen instantly showed an expression of disbelief. But the next second, she laughed again. She said, "Teacher Cambry, you really know how to joke. I guess you want to wait for Aiden and me to be both defeated before attempting a jailbreak, don't you?" Cambry said, "You're really smart." Just then, several criminals suddenly walked in. It turned out to be riot prisoner led by the Bird Woman. They caused a riot as soon as they came in. Bird Woman then inexplicably attacked a prisoner. She said, "Sisters, follow me. Beat all of Aiden's lackeys to death." The Ant Queen looked calmly at all this. She said, "Teacher, now you have a choice. Either stop me completely and be my enemy, or sit back and watch the show and join us." And at this moment, Aiden had just received the list of participants for farming. He thought, 202 felons are enough. My plan is like this. You can grow potatoes while learning to make wine. Kinga was instantly excited at the mention of winemaking. She said, "Great Warden, I am willing to fully support you." At this point, Aiden suddenly changed the subject. He said, "But here comes another problem. We don't have any seeds. How about this? You guys get out of jail and buy some seeds to bring back." When these words were spoken, both Kinga and Aya were bewildered. "Don't be afraid. I trust you. Not only that, I will also send prisoners to help you." At that moment, a prison guard walked in. He said, "Mr. Aiden, the prisoner Gilala that you requested has arrived." So the bewildered Kinga, accompanied by 5 equally perplexed companions, arrived at the entrance of the prison. Even more unbelievably, it was the chief of Zone 1 who personally escorted them out. They still felt like they were in a dream until they walked out of the prison gates. A group of people walked on the street, everyone looking at them. What they did not know was, Sophia was secretly watching them from the shadows. So this is the business that Aiden and she are doing. Have Sophia monitor them in the guise of a bounty hunter. And once they show any sign of escape, the only thing waiting for them is death. Under the leadership of Wooden Elf Gilala, several people made their way to the slums of City Silver. As they walked further inwards, the number of people decreased, and the houses became more and more dilapidated. Maddie, the fox witch traveling with them, sensed that something was wrong. The curse mark on her neck began to slowly loosen, indicating that she was about to break free from the forbidden magic circle's range. The smartest among them, Aya, also noticed the abnormality. At this point, Gilala decided not to pretend anymore. She casually took off the wooden sign symbolizing a prisoner. She said, "What are you pretending to be confused for? To plan an escape route, you should go around instead." The scene shifts to Aiden's office. Flanda asked puzzledly, How did you know that Gilala is about to escape? Aiden slowly said. I have her go to Kim for a physical checkup every day, but she has been absent from work for several days in a row. If she were a child, I could understand. But unfortunately, she is over 170 years old. I suspected that something was on her mind due to the sudden change in behavior. The scene switched back to Gilala. She gritted her teeth and said, Do you know how I have been living these past few days? I constantly have to endure intense killing intent. I even almost got stabbed by rioting prisoners. They probably wouldn't dare mess with tough people like you, but being short and weak like me, everyone wants to bully me. Aiden gave me 10 pounds. It can be used as escape money. What do you all think? Upon hearing this, Maddie became interested. She said, I agree. I happen to have many lovers who can help me. The lover closest to me is in the Gista's Empire. However, the witch in Sabbath Forest in between has a bad relationship with me. So I need Kinga's escort. Kinga says you better leave. After being rejected, Maddie instantly becomes a simp. She says, Jinjia, come with me. Aya quickly interrupted her and said, Haven't you noticed something strange? Didn't you notice anything unusual, Gilala? What she didn't expect was that at this moment, Gilala had quietly picked up the discarded wooden sign. She said, Sorry everyone, I took the wrong road. Let's go buy potatoes now. At this moment, she had lost the arrogance she had just shown, and her legs are shaking uncontrollably. Aya also understood at this moment. It was a trap from the beginning. First, luring us into a false sense of freedom, and then crushing this illusion with overwhelming despair, making people too scared to guess or think. Aya guessed it right. At this moment, they have already been surrounded by bounty hunters and are ready to strike at any time. Gilala, who is naturally able to observe the emotions around them, has also completely collapsed in endless murderous intent. The scene shifts back to Warden Aiden's office. So, if you want the wolf to be loyal to you, you must first make her understand what respect means. Kim, who was sitting across from her, listened attentively. She asked, So, can Little Red Riding Hood tame the wolf? Will this prevent her grandmother from being eaten? He said, It depends on you, little Kim. Nothing is absolute. After listening, Kim seemed to understand something. At this moment, the image of an ant queen appeared in her mind. Just then, the prison alarm suddenly went off. Flanda's face was full of disbelief. There was actually a riot in the cafeteria. But isn't Cambry there? Warden Aiden was also confused. Why did the cafeteria have a problem? That is where all the prisoners eat. Damaging it benefits no one. Moreover, isn't Cambry the one guarding there? Could there be an issue with her? What's more, it's been so long and yet none of the riot prisoners have attempted to escape. This is very abnormal. There must be someone instigating them behind the scenes. Aiden slowly spoke after thinking it through. He asked the prison guards to carefully observe who was instructing those criminals. The scene changes to the cafeteria. It's already a mess here. The Ant Queen looked triumphantly at Cambry and said, In the end, you still didn't make a move. Are you planning to seek forgiveness from Aiden or join our team? Cambry speaks slowly as she looks at the triumphant smile on the Ant Queen's face. I told your mentor, Gaia, a long time ago. Don't be fooled by Isabella's intelligence and cleverness now. Just a few years of careful cultivation. You will soon find out that this person is someone who will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. At these words, the smile on the Ant Queen's face disappeared instantly. Cambry continued, I will not cooperate with you. Watching you guys fight with Aiden can't be any better. And let me remind you not to take me for a fool. The split spells in your mouth have long been researched by your Gaia mentor. You dare only tell me the benefits brought by split. But why don't you mention that split will also divide your own life and soul into two? It seems you really think I dare not kill you. At this critical moment, a pair of hands took the Ant Queen away. Originally, it was Succubus. She had promised to protect her little brothers. Looking at the great figure of Succubus, the Ant Queen suddenly fell into memories. In her mind, there was a scene from her childhood when Gaia had taught her how to leave the forbidden area. Just then, a large rat suddenly appeared at Succubus' feet. Succubus was terrified by this, so she was forced to fall to the floor with the Ant Queen. Facing the idiot who came to her door, Birdwoman had no reason to kill him. The Succubus also sensed the danger. She closed her eyes in fear. In a critical moment, the Ant Queen unexpectedly reached out to shield her. And seeing that she had hurt Alpha, Birdwoman also panicked. She decided to confront the villain head-on. She directly kicked the Ant Queen out of the cafeteria. The Ant Queen didn't expect the farce to end in such a messy way. What's even more infuriating is that Cambry waved at her. Just then, Flanda finally led a group of people over. As soon as she arrived, the prisoners of Riot Prisoner were about to retreat immediately. Some of them, led by Birdwoman, have already become a bit bloodthirsty. They are going to war with Warden Aiden today. But as they leave the prison, the atmosphere starts to become a bit awkward. Because this time, Flanda has brought quite a few prison guards. But strangely, Flanda did not pay much attention to them, because it was obvious that these people were not the masterminds behind this riot. The scene shifts to Warden Aiden's side. At this time, Kinga and her group had already returned to the prison. Aiden smiled and said, "You didn't encounter any danger on the way, right?" At this, they quickly shook their heads frantically, indicating that everything was going smoothly. "If everything goes smoothly, we'll start working tomorrow. After the handover, Aya will leave with everyone." But Kinga has already been fascinated by the wine next to her. At this moment, Aiden spoke up and said, "Wait a moment, drink these wines before you leave. After all, the future of the prison project depends on you all." In the glow of the setting sun, several people also began a happy time. After a few barrels of wine, Kinga became good buddies with Aiden. Gilala also completely forgot about the jailbreak incident, because she is now the team leader of the prisoner labor group. Foxwitch Maddie even bluntly stated that she would kill anyone who brings up the jailbreak in the future. On the other side of the prison, Birdwoman and a few others who narrowly escaped. They unanimously believed that Aiden wouldn't dare to touch them, so they decided to go wild in his office tomorrow. Just then, there was suddenly the sound of a bottle breaking. Several people instinctively turned to look. It was only then that they realized it was Aya and his group who were drunk. Kinga, very angry, said, "I just formed a brotherhood with Aiden, and you guys want to pick a fight with him already?" The most timid Gilala was also very angry. She said, "Stop the nonsense. Let's find trouble with them first." But when Birdwoman really rushed over, Gilala, who was once again fearful, hid in Aya's arms. At that moment, a figure rushed out. She rushed towards Birdwoman at an incredible speed. She did so without any warning. She punched and broke Birdwoman's left arm. Pigwoman recognized her. "It's Dragon Woman who stays neutral," she asked in puzzlement. "Are you going to be Aiden's dog too?" she said. "I'm just taking people's money to help them out of trouble. You can continue now." "The person who hired her is the wealthy and powerful Succubus," she said. "Little sidekick, don't worry. No one can bully us." The Ant Queen thanked Alpha with a stern face. Meanwhile, the orc's body began to rapidly increase in size. She wanted to take advantage of Kinga's inattention. She launched a sneak attack. But the next second, her entire body suddenly flew out. On the other side, Demon Woman locked onto Maddie. She quietly climbed up the wall to the second floor. Then she rushed towards Maddie at an extremely fast speed. But just as she was about to succeed, Maddie's tail suddenly turned into a huge ball of fur. Demon Woman's entire body instantly sank into it. Then two glowing ropes pulled her out again. It's not over yet. Two big hands suddenly appeared out of nowhere. Maddie firmly pressed her devil's horns on it, crushing it hard to the ground. The scene switches to Kinga. She is facing off against the enlarged version of Pigwoman. The battle has escalated to a white heat. At this moment, the runes behind Kinga suddenly lit up. The next second, her power became even stronger. Then she forcefully broke Pigwoman's healing tooth. Pigwoman instantly let out a painful cry. On the other side, Giant George also fought with the bald old woman. The two were deadlocked. Aya shouted at her, "George, as long as you defeat her, my future breakfast will belong to you." Upon hearing this, George immediately became spirited. The muscles on her body began to swell rapidly. 1 second after that, she transformed into Muscle Girl, which scared the bald old woman. After that, George delivered a heavy blow that knocked her out. The battle is over. Gilala is very excited. She said, "We won! We are really strong!" At this moment, a large number of prison guards suddenly arrived. The real main characters have made their appearance. The atmosphere started to become tense. After a while, the prison guards arranged themselves into formation. Aiden slowly spoke. "You guys really have no fear of the gods. Do you think I have nothing better to do?" "You are planning to escape. I gave you a chance, but all you dare to do is cause chaos in the prison? I declare that tomorrow will be the last day of free activities. Regular prison routines will resume." Vampire's face changed drastically because according to their plan, tomorrow was the time the riot prisoners would launch a general attack. But now, the plan has been completely ruined. After finishing speaking, Aiden slowly left. Flanda then immediately spoke up. "Tomorrow, the prison's work program officially begins. The participating prisoners can still move around in the designated areas." Upon hearing this, Maddie was very happy and said, "Doesn't that mean we can hang out together outside the prison cells in the future?" At this moment, a drop of cold sweat slowly appeared on Aya's face. She knew that it was all over. Start by opening the prisoner's cell door. Aiden took 2 days to complete the reform of the prison. First, he spent a day dividing the prisoners into 3 factions. In the evening, he confirmed the leader of the loyal prisoners. That is Kinga. The next morning, he arranged for Kinga to lead a team to go out and purchase supplies. The purpose is to test their loyalty and reliability, and to test and intimidate them to a moderate extent. A fight broke out in the cafeteria at noon. Aiden noticed something unusual. In the end, he chose to let it go. On one hand, he was trying to identify the new leader of the riot prisoners. On the other hand, he was setting up a plan for the evening operation. After Kinga and the others returned to the prison in the afternoon, Aiden prepared a large amount of alcohol for them again. Make them completely fall into temptation. And in the evening when Kinga and the others returned to the prison, intentionally arranged for them to meet Birdwoman. In the end, the Birdwoman gang was beaten up. And Aiden also completed the beating of the prisoners. But in fact, Aiden's freedom for the prisoners is 3 days. The reason for ending it a day early. It is because he keenly sensed the presence of danger. So he chose to end it early. But this does not affect his plan. Aiden has completed the reform of the prison. At the same time, he also inadvertently caused the complete collapse of Ant Queen's plan. The succubus was very excited at this moment. Because she, the small sidekick, and the Ant Queen are all prisoners participating in labor tasks. The Ant Queen is also very happy. But her smile looks unusually eerie. "Aiden, you locked up the rioting prisoners, right? Then I'll put the extra ingredient dishes in the cafeteria. But it's your people who will be enjoying it. And your most trusted dog will soon belong to me." At the same time, the camera pans to Aiden and Flanda. Flanda said, "Mr. Aiden, I found something." The prison guard monitoring the cafeteria said, "The newcomer Ant Queen Mary, alias, has had close interactions with Cambry." But when he called Ant Queen over, he was quickly bamboozled by Ant Queen's few words. Unable to do anything, he found witch Cambry again, but unfortunately, Cambry claimed to be clueless about it. Moreover, the testimonies of the two of them matched perfectly. But Aiden still keenly noticed something was off. This is because at the time, Ant Queen was admitted to Rose Prison on charges of smuggling. But how could such charges qualify her to enter Rose prison? At this moment, Flanda also remembered. At that time, all the responsible staff had resigned. Additionally, there was a severe shortage of prison personnel at the time. Therefore, they had no choice but to lock up all the prisoners first. After listening, Aiden fell into contemplation. He thought to himself that this explanation makes perfect sense. Surely someone took advantage of the situation to engage in shady dealings at that time. And he couldn't completely trust Cambry either. After all, her disguise ability is top-notch. So he needed to come up with a way to counter her. After giving it some thought, Aiden spoke slowly. Assign the guards to monitor each new inmate one-on-one. And by the way, have Werewolf eliminate all the animals that Cambry has raised. The scene shifts to the prison playground. The hard-working Ant Queen is being closely watched by a guard. Just then, the guard suddenly spoke. She said, "The employer is running out of patience. It is obvious that she is also a spy planted by Anthony." The Ant Queen spoke up. "Do you still have the nerve to speak? Why haven't you delivered what I asked for?" "I'm just here to inform you. The employer mentioned that if there is still no progress from you in the next few days, it means your true identity documents will appear in Aiden's office. But you can rest assured. The things you want are already on the way." The scene switches to Gilala. She is urging other prisoners to work quickly. After a while, she made herself a cup of tea and started drinking it. Just then, a figure emerged. The next moment, she was so scared that she spurted out a mouthful of water. The person who came was Kim. It turns out Kim has been practicing telling fairy tales recently. Because adult Aiden said that this way, he could make friends. So she found Gilala, who is over 170 years old. Kim wanted to read to her first to practice. Everything is moving in a positive direction. However, Gilala found that she still lacked humanity at this point. And the books she reads are also very strange. Not far away, werewolf. She complained while stepping on rats. Why do I have to catch rats everywhere? And Kim, as a prisoner, can be so relaxed. The district chief who accompanied her asked her a question. If you catch a murderer, do you send the murderer's hands to jail or do you send the murder weapon in? No need to ask, of course it's the perpetrator. But Kim is a district chief who has been sentenced to life imprisonment. She is one of the notorious children created by the infamous Ant Queen. It is said that this woman often performs body modifications on children and trains them into assassins to make a profit. She still remembers the scene when Mr. Aiden brought her to the hospital back then. People were frightened by the surgery the doctor performed on her. Because Kim's internal organs were entangled like ropes, filled with various weapons, and even her blood was corrosive. No one knows how much pain this 13-year-old child has endured. And when she was just sent to prison, if no one gave the order, she couldn't even breathe on her own. Werewolf was moved for a moment. Is there still a way to cure her? If she is sent to the Royal Hospital in Dragon's Back Empire, there may be some hope. But City Silver is unwilling to bear the exorbitant medical expenses for her. Just then a voice came shouting, "District Chief, a new group of criminals has arrived. Please come and receive them quickly." But what she did not expect was, the prisoner brought in this time was actually a child modified by the Ant Queen. Their situation is even worse than Kim's. The scene shifts back to the farming area. Maddie is welcoming the prisoners to have their meal. Soon everyone gathered in the cafeteria. However, Kinga and Gilala refuse to eat. Because as a wooden elf, Gilala only needs to bask in the sun to be considered as having a meal. And Kinga prefers to drink on an empty stomach. At this moment, Aya suddenly began to recall the past. Before their mercenary group was destroyed, Kinga had a small wish. That is to adopt a group of orphan children. She wanted to teach them survival skills, so that they could make a living on their own. But later, the mercenary group suddenly collapsed. Only Kinga and Aya survived. The scene shifts to the Heresy Monsters VIP reception center in the prison. All the residents here are noble children of orcs. They are held in the prison as hostages, with their status both noble and terrifying. At this moment, a guard brought their breakfast. However, it was puzzling why she was smiling so strangely today. The scene switches back to the cafeteria. The inmates who were just eating are now all writhing in pain on the ground. This includes Aya and Maddie as well. Only Kinga, who had not eaten, managed to escape unharmed. Meanwhile, Flanda also anxiously found Aiden. She said, "Aiden, something bad has happened. The prisoners in the cafeteria have been poisoned." At this moment, the usually calm Aiden completely panicked, because the long-hidden Ant Queen has finally made a move. And the situation began with a prisoner poisoning in the cafeteria. At the first moment of the incident, Flanda organized the prison guards for emergency rescue. Unfortunately, all the prison doctors had resigned long ago. Kinga's heart was about to break as he looked at Aya lying on the sickbed. She wished so much that all of this was just a dream. She shouted Aya's name loudly, hoping to make her open her eyes and look at herself. Just then, Warden Aiden suddenly appeared. He said, "Stop shouting. She just has a mild case of food poisoning." Kinga said, "But she's unconscious now and won't wake up." Aiden no longer paid attention to her, just urging the jailer to hurry to the town to find a doctor. In the blink of an eye, he was back in the office. He was thinking about who did this. Flanda suspects that there is a mole among the prison guards. Aiden does not agree with this. Then he spoke up. "Take people to raid the cells immediately. Remember to bring the district leader of Zone 4. Her photographic memory can help identify suspects among the prisoners quickly." The scene shifts to a corner of the prison. A girl found teacher which Cambry to apologize for what happened before. She hopes you can help her break the prison mechanism. The strange thing is that the girl's mouth is actually on her right hand. As for the Covenant, I have come up with a better solution. I will have Kim launch a surprise attack to take out Aiden in order to break the Covenant. Seeing her sincerity, Cambry laughed. She said, "Well, tell me when you plan to take action." The camera panned to the Ant Queen not far away. She said, "Within an hour, because the poisoning incident will soon be traced back to me." After receiving the reply, Cambry was about to leave. At that moment, the girl stopped her. "Teacher, this bottle of prosperity spell is for you. You can use it to restore your power." She said, "Then give me 2 portions." Looking a bit helpless at the young girl Cambry, because her stomach had been transformed into a safe. The scene shifts to inside a prison cell, under the leadership of the warden in Block 4. The prison guards began crazily searching for the suspected prisoners. When searching Succubus, they found something strange instead. The innocent werewolf is curious about this thing. She doesn't know why it vibrates. The succubus is so anxious that she's rolling on the ground. She said, "Hurry up and give it back to me. It's my treasure." The werewolf quickly comforted her, saying, "It's okay. I'll just let Aiden take a look and then give it back to you." The succubus instantly collapsed upon hearing that this thing would be shown to Aiden. She couldn't imagine what Aiden would think after seeing it. Then she quickly hugged the werewolf's thigh.